Hi, I'm Bob Rayo with Family Solutions for Care, and thank you for joining us today. We're going to talk about how we help Care Patrol make placements of clients that have long-term care insurance. So we have been partnered now for about 3 years, and that partnership allows you to have an additional value that you can offer prospective clients that have long-term care insurance. And we'll talk about that in a little more depth today. But one of the things that it does is by being able to offer clients a free policy review to understand their eligibility and the likelihood of them being paid, it lets you right up front identify what their affordability is going to be during that community selection process. And we find that that has the effect of shortening your sales cycle because right away we have solid information on how that care is going to be paid for, and that doesn't have to be an issue that requires any more research or effort on your part. The other thing it does is part of what we do by securing the maximum benefits is it lets you drive additional revenue because we'll find that because we don't leave any money on the table, that we're allowing that policyholder to have the benefit of every possible benefit under that policy so that they can afford upgraded services, more amenities, so or a high level of care within the community that you're placing them in. And then finally, we remain a resource for you for any type of long-term care insurance claim issues or opportunities that you may have. We're here to share our experience with you and help you in any way that we can. So what does a long-term care insurance policyholder look like? Well, first, obviously, they own a long-term care insurance policy, but they might also have a life insurance policy that has a long-term care rider attached to it, or they may own an annuity contract that has a long-term care rider attached to it. So in any of those three situations, we can still be of help. And most of the people in the industry consider long-term care insurance policyholders dream clients because they are typically a bit more affluent. They have the ability to select whatever community that they choose to go to. They have the ability to pay for a higher level of amenities or services, and certainly they're clearly private pay. The other thing we've learned is that the adult children that are typically helping that policyholder are the kind of people that rely on experts. They would be going to a CPA for financial advice or a financial planner. They would be going to an attorney for legal advice. I mean, that's why they came to you, because they wanted an expert in this field to help them. And all they really care about is achieving the best outcome, for their mom or their dad. And then also, when it comes to dealing with long-term care insurance, they recognize that they don't have the time or the knowledge to deal with the task of working with the insurance company and all the cumbersome and difficulty that is associated with navigating that insurance company landscape. And then, as we all know, typically when they're ready to move in, they may be in a time of crisis and they really want experienced support in helping them uh, achieve the best outcome as quickly as possible. So, who are Family Solutions for Care? So, we are the nation's largest and most experienced consumer advocate for people that have long term care insurance claims. We don't sell long term care insurance, we're simply there to help families at the time that they need to use their long term care insurance to fund their senior care. Our founders actually came out of the industry. David and Wendy Reinhardt had been with Genworth for about 15 years. David was in management, Wendy was in sales, and Wendy really became one of the top salespeople across all the carriers at that point in time that were writing long-term care insurance and sold many, many policies. And like a lot of people in this industry, went through a personal experience when she was trying to help her brother obtain his benefits from his long-term care insurance policy. And she learned how difficult and how painful that process was. And it had her reflecting on all those people that she had sold policies to, and that were they going to be going through that same difficulty. And based on that, she and David actually founded a new industry to simply help people with those claims. And we've been doing this now almost 10 years. And over that time, we've secured access to over $200 million in benefits for policyholders. And we do that through a very compassionate team of claims experts. Collectively, these people have 100 years experience in dealing with this process. And they become the interface between the family and the insurance company, and really take on the task of helping that family move through all the challenges and all the obstacles that the insurance company seems to want to throw in front of people that are simply trying to collect under policies that they have paid for. And over that time, we've literally handled thousands of these kinds of claims. So huge level of experience and success in this field. What makes long-term care insurance claims so challenging? Well, the first thing, as we mentioned, is that the insurance companies can be extremely difficult to work with. Policies are written in ways that are very confusing. They use a lot of inconsistent terms. And believe it or not, there are over 400,000 variations of these policies out there. Many of these policies go back 20 and 30 years. And back then, there were about 200 companies that were writing this type of coverage. And today, there's less than 10. So the administration of a lot of those claims is in the hands of third-party administrators who were never really at the level of insight and knowledge of those policies that those original companies were. The next thing is that it becomes very difficult to reach someone in those insurance companies or those third-party administrators to have the conversation and to get working on that initial claim. So it takes many frustrating calls. It's not uncommon to be on hold for 40 or 50 minutes, only to find out that either you got disconnected or the person that answered wasn't the right person to help you. And I've had people tell me that they have invested 60, 70, 80 hours in trying to deal with the insurance company and not made any progress whatsoever. So very frustrating experience, many, many phone calls to try to get started. Then perhaps like any kind of a insurance claim, claimants are really not versed in knowing what to say. So it becomes very easy in a conversation with someone at the insurance company to have a misstep and to say something that could cause that claim to be denied or delayed. And when that happens, the insurance company has the right to restart that clock, and it'll take 30 more days before you can have the next conversation with them, typically. So it really becomes crucial to understand what to say or what not to say in those conversations. And then all of those insurance companies have the right periodically to require the policyholder to recertify their eligibility. So even after someone is on claim and has been receiving monthly payments, the insurance company can cause that policyholder to become recertified all over again to prove that they are still eligible to receive those benefits. So very frustrating, very daunting task, but you have to be aware that can take place and does take place every day. Some other challenges that you'll recognize is that many times the families are located 500 miles away from their loved one, and they may never have even seen that long-term care insurance policy. And again, the number one thing we hear from the adult children is that they don't have the time to deal with this process. They have a lot on their plate right now. They have their own families to deal with. They're struggling to try to deal with their loved one who needs some level of senior care, and they just don't have the time to work through all the nuances of dealing with the insurance companies. The other thing is that all these policies have what are called elimination periods. So these are waiting periods before benefit payments will start. And they can range from 30 days to, I've seen them as high as 365 days. So during that period, the family has to be prepared to pay out of pocket until those benefits kick in. And then finally, again, because a lot of these policies go back 20 to 30 years, many states have passed laws that actually override the terms in those policies. So if you think about it, 30 years ago, there really wasn't an assisted living community industry the way we know it today. There were a lot of references back in those early policies to nursing homes, and many states over those years, based on either legislation or litigation, have passed laws, and all in the favor of the claimant. But you have to understand in those states where those laws have been passed, how they may modify the terms of those policies. So what can Family Solutions for Care do to help? Well, the very first thing is that through our partnership with Care Patrol, you can offer anyone that you meet that has long-term care insurance a free policy review. This is being done by experts in this field that have done thousands of these policies, and we will ascertain, based on the care setting being considered, what their eligibility is going to be and what the likelihood of them receiving payment will be. Because most people don't realize that simply owning a long-term care insurance policy is never a guarantee that you're going to collect under that policy. So there's a lot more to it to qualify to be able to receive those benefits. But at that point, we also do a free consultation with the family to let them really understand what they have. And at that point, many families will elect to go it alone, and they'll want to try to do that initial claim themselves. And many are able to do that, by the way. But one of the things we've learned is that when families do that initial claim, they are only successful on the first try about 17% of the time. And if we're involved right from the beginning, we're successful 100% of the time. So we offer that as an optional service where we will literally handle every aspect of that claim process. And the way that we do that is by taking on all the communication with the insurance company. The family never even has to speak to the insurance company. And by doing a limited power of attorney and executing a HIPAA document with the family, so that we can go off and obtain all the medical records and provider records that are necessary and ensure that we have them in the right framework prior to submitting them to the insurance company. So one of the things we learned that causes a lot of denials is that when the information comes from a physician, for example, that is documenting that policyholder's situation, if it's not in the kinds of terms that align with the terms of the policy, it can be rejected by the insurance company. So we often go back and forth with those medical providers, ensuring that what they're reporting back is in the terms that aligns with the policy so that it can smoothly go through that system and be accepted. Now, one of the most important things that we do is that we go back up to 24 months looking for either medical or life event triggers that could have started coverage under that policy sooner. And the way that we do that is we work with the family to think through all the things that have led up to this point. And what has their senior been going through over the last 6 months, the last 12 months, the last 24 months? And typically what we're looking for are things like hospitalization, rehab, in-home care, but any element of care that could have been covered under that policy that the family just didn't realize would have been covered. And when we find them, we're able to start coverage under that policy retroactively. So what does that do? First, and very importantly, it has the effect of being able to satisfy the elimination period. So if we start that policy 6 months sooner, we will be able to satisfy, again, based on the number of elimination days in the clause, but we are able to satisfy that elimination period so the family doesn't have to come up with out-of-pocket funds to start care, and the care can be started right away, and the benefits will start being paid right away. The other thing it does is for any of the care that had been paid for back to that new start date of that coverage, that family will receive a refund of those payments that they made for care when they didn't realize that it could have been covered under the policy. And then finally, many times, once the elimination period is satisfied, that policy may waive any future payment of premiums. And in that case, they would receive a refund of those premiums as well. So here we can see this maybe a little more clearly on this graphic. So this vertical line here is the point in time when you're ready to place that senior in a community. And for purposes of this example, we've assumed that the policy has a 90-day elimination period and that the cost of the community is $5,000 a month. So the family needs to be prepared to pay that $15,000 out of pocket. Now, to the left of this line is where we go back up to 24 months looking for these triggering events. And by the way, we typically find them. And when we do, we're able to start that policy coverage retroactively. And our experience over those 10 years has been that our clients receive an average refund of $23,000 in their first check. Now, some are going to get less than that. Some, of course, will get more. I have seen them as high as 6 figures. So if we're able to start a policy 12 months in the past, as an example, one I saw was an indemnity policy. It paid a fixed daily benefit. Then we were able to allow that family to receive a check from the insurance company for 11 months of that daily benefit. So, huge benefit at a time when that family needs the help the most. Plus, in this example, if they had paid that $15,000 during the 90-day elimination period while we were working on this claim, they'll receive that $15,000 back as well. So, huge financial benefit to the policyholder and the family, giving them control over some of their funds that are in that policy rather than the insurance company. So what does that result in? Well, you can clearly sense the benefit to the policyholder. This person down here is probably one of the adult children. And as we said, they have a lot going on in their life right now. I mean, they have all their own family dynamics. There may be 2 working adults in the family. They may have children at home. They may have children in college. They're trying to spend time helping their loved one manage their doctor's appointments, any kind of medication that they may be on, and helping them work through deciding within the family what's going to be best for mom or dad relative to senior care. So very overwhelmed at this point in time. And when we step in and take over all aspects of dealing with the insurance company and getting that initial claim approved, we clearly eliminate all the stress and all the time that takes. So a huge help to the adult children. It also greatly reduces the risk of any mistakes being made because we know how to talk to the insurance company and we know how to talk to Transamerica differently than we talk to John Hancock, differently than we talk to Genworth, because again, we have all those years of experience and all those claims that we have helped people with. And in that process, we're going to ensure that their loved one is going to receive the maximum level of benefit and therefore be able to afford the highest level of care that they can. We eliminate we reduce or satisfy the elimination period, allowing those benefits to start flowing right away. And again, the average client is receiving $23,000 in benefits in their first check. So very powerful value for the policyholder and for the family. Now, what's the value to you as the CarePatrol franchisee that is placing this client in a community? Well, the first thing it gives is lets you have another conversation starter for anybody you're talking to that has long-term care insurance. So it gives you just something else to approach them with. And because you can offer that free policy review, it's just another way that very early on, you can support building your positive brand image and building trust with that client because you're providing them at no charge, an expert review of that policy at no cost to them. It will result in your ability to really have the optimum placement of that policyholder based on what we've identified as far as their eligibility and the maximum benefit that they're going to be paid. And that will allow you to provide a higher level of care, more amenities within the community. The other thing that it does, and many people don't realize this, but all senior care professionals should recognize that they should not be dispensing advice on long-term care insurance policies. And the reason I say that is because the long-term care insurance policy is a financial instrument. And just the way you wouldn't give out CPA advice, or you wouldn't give out legal advice unless you were licensed to deal with those things, you really don't want to be directing people on how to use long-term care insurance policies. Over and over again, we have seen communities get in trouble where they have spoken directly to an insurance company and ask a question about the coverage. We're told, yes, they have coverage under their policy, allowed a senior to move into that community, and then 60 days down the road, they were facing an AR problem, not have been paid by that family, and lo and behold, found out that whatever level of care they were providing didn't really qualify under that policy because they hadn't had an expert help decipher what was in that policy and help work with the insurance company to guarantee that that policy was going to cover their services. So very clearly, we eliminate any of that liability for you in dealing with your client in their long-term care insurance policy. The other thing is when we deal with the satisfying the elimination periods and help providing those retroactive funds, you're able to help that senior move in faster. They can move in sooner. They can move in now because we know how that care is going to be funded. And then finally, if it's going to take time to get that initial claim completed and get that party on claim and have that policy be paying, based on our experience, we can help give you some guidance also in how to help that family with some interim funding while they're waiting for those benefits to kick in. So we're a resource here for you to help you with all things long-term care insurance claim related and allow you to provide additional value to your clients. So one of the things that we had developed several years ago is what we call a resource page. And I know this is kind of hard to see, it's small, but this is what that page looks like. And it's updated constantly, so it may look a little different today, but it provides you a high-level overview of what we do, some of the things that we've talked about today that you can share with your associates or new employees, and just have one place where they can go to see a page branded for Care Patrol that talks specifically about our benefits and how we can help. There's some downloadable documents down here. One is a one-page client flyer that you can hand to a client or put into an information pack that talks about what we do and how we can help them. Another one is a document for internal use that simply helps you and your team understand that free policy review and the steps that we're going through and how that works. There's a place here to provide an easy referral, little information about who's referring the party to us, and then the family and contact information. You hit submit, this comes directly to us, and we will be in touch with that family to get a copy of that policy and begin that process. And we will keep you in the loop and let you know that we received the referral and let you know along the way all the different steps that we have when we hit different checkpoints through that process, all the way to the point of being able to help that family. We'll keep you in that loop. There's a copy here, and I believe this has been updated, but a previous webinar that we had done. So you'll be able to see a copy of this webinar if you would like to either replay it or share it with someone else. And then again, finally, this is the URL for this private page just for Care Patrol franchisees. So it's hosted on our site. This is how you access it. So please visit it often, because you'll find that the information does change, and it's a great tool to remember how we can help you. So in closing here, I want to really thank you again for attending today. I mean, you're going to find that our company is driven by a compassion to really help these families. And we are really honored to help you help them. You'll see a lot more information on our website, FamilySolutionsForCare.com. You can see customer testimonials, client testimonials from families. You can see testimonials from other senior care professionals. A lot of information there. This is our main number. You can call this customer support number at any time, and we can work with you to help get your client plugged into the system or to answer any questions. This is my contact information next. Feel free to either call me by phone, this is my mobile, or reach out to me by email. Um, it would be my privilege to help you in any way that I possibly can in this process, even if you just have general questions about the process or about how we help families. And then remember the resource page, again, hosted on our site, that you can see down here with the URL that will take you to that resource page. So in closing, again, I want to thank you very much for your partnership. We've helped many of your families gain access to their benefits and helped many franchisees with placements. And we are here for you, and we greatly appreciate the opportunity to be of help. Thank you.